As the country anxiously awaits the 2020 general election in November, state officials say this year's primary election yielded one of, if not the largest voter turnouts for a primary in Delaware's history. However, one look at the relatively empty polling booths throughout the state on September 15th would strongly suggest otherwise.
I understand from the Department of Elections, they were sharing with all the campaigns, 62,000 Democrats had already voted by mail, which is frankly more than most primaries.
According to election results from Delaware.gov, of the roughly 900,000 total votes cast in Delaware's primary election, over 400,000 of them came by way of absentee and vote-by-mail voters. Earlier this summer, Governor John Carney signed into law House Bill 346, giving Delaware residents the ability to vote by mail in an effort to protect voting rights as well as public health in the face of the coronavirus. While the adjustment to this year's election process marks yet another unprecedented moment for Delaware in 2020, the history behind mail-in voting is nearly as old as the first state itself. One of the earliest known instances of absentee voting reportedly occurred during the American Revolution. In 1775, a town in New Hampshire agreed to count the votes of a group of soldiers in the Continental Army who had sent their votes for a local election by mail. While other small examples of absentee voting appeared during the War of 1812, the first widespread use of non-in-person voting in American history took place during the Civil War. In the election of 1864, 19 northern states passed legislation allowing soldiers to vote away from their home, either through mail-in ballots or polling places in the field. By the conclusion of the election that year, about 150,000 of the 1 million Union soldiers voted absentee. Starting in World War I, lawmakers on Capitol Hill expanded the soldiers' absentee voting system overseas to Americans working away from their home during election time. And by World War II, every state had laws permitting soldiers to vote remotely. During the 1944 election, the American military was responsible for nearly 7% of the total electorate. Decades later, access to voting and voter rights continues to expand in the 21st century, this time in response to a different kind of war, the fight against the coronavirus.
I think it's going to prove to be certainly critically important, allowing people to vote safely in the pandemic situation, and then as a matter of democracy, just having more people the access to vote.